Hey guys, Ryan here for Bender Wins, and today I'm going to be talking about betting for value versus betting the odds. Okay, so plain and simple, I'm going to lay out what value is in sports betting. So, value exists when the probability is greater than the probability reflected in the odds. I'll say that again. Value exists when the probability is greater than the probability reflected in the odds. So what that basically means is if a team, for example, is plus 275, okay, so plus 275, a huge underdog. Let's say you figure there's about a 30% chance they're going to win. So 7 out of 10 times they're going to lose that game. But by winning 3 times, it's actually going to give you about a 4% edge because the real probability, the adjusted actual probability based on plus 275 should mean they should only win about 26% of the time. So a lot of times, especially in baseball, you see really good pitching, one-sided pitching matchups. You might get a Kershaw against a rookie with 3 starts, especially like late in the season. And you're going to see huge lines. You're going to see, plus 300, plus 320. I'm not saying just go out and indiscriminately bet those, but I'm saying a lot of value can exist on those lines. Because if you're getting plus 275, plus 280, and you figure that these are games that could come in, 28, 30, 32% of the time, there's a lot of value in those lines. So betting value is probably one of the easiest ways, if not the easiest way, to make money in sports betting. Most bettors, what they do is they pick the team that they think is going to win the game. And that makes sense, right? When you're looking at stuff, obviously you want to pick the team that's going to win the game. But if you're picking a team that's going to win the game and say they're minus 350, well, if they only have a 70% chance of winning that game, that's a losing proposition. So 7 out of 10 times, you'll probably be happy, but those other times you're laying 350, and long term that's going to be a losing proposition. So one of the ways that I can describe value is, let's say that someone offered you a heads or tails coin flip. You basically lay $1 and you'll win back another $1 if it comes heads or if you pick tails and vice versa. That's a 50-50 probability. Long term, heads is going to come up 50% of the time, tails is going to come up 50% of the time. But let's say that somebody offered you the probability that it's still going to come 50-50, but when you pick the right one, you're going to get paid $1.10. So rather than making $1, you're going to make $1.10. All of a sudden that becomes a winning proposition. So this is how you look for value. So it's not good enough just to say, okay, I think this team's going to win today. It's about finding value, and that's why you see a lot of professional sports bettors. We bet on underdogs a lot because there's a lot of value in the underdogs because the public is betting the favorite. One of the reasons the public bets the favorite is because when people bet on games, they want to sit down, they want to win. Human instinct is that you want to win. So do you really want to bet on something as your average public, average Joe? Do you want to bet on something that you're only going to win 30% of the time? No, you want to sit down, you want to have a drink, you want to watch the game with your friends and cheer and hope you win 70% of the time. But looking at probability, if the odds are not right and there's no value there, then winning 30% of the time is going to be much, much more profitable. So I can give a really good example. There's one model that I've built, and it's for underdogs. And basically, you're betting against the public. So this goes back to I think it was 2008 or 2009 that I built this model back to, and this is in baseball. So if you're betting against the public, so this model is set up that more or less if 49% or less of the money is on the team you're betting, so you're betting against the public in one way, shape, or form. After your team that you're betting has come off a loss and their odds are a plus 120 to plus 80, those games hit at 49.5% of the time. So it's almost a 50-50 proposition. So this is where value is very important. If you're getting let's call it 50%. It's not, but it's close enough. So let's say if you're getting 50% winners And every time you're betting, it's plus 120, plus 130, all the way up to plus 180. That's a huge long-term proposition. So what I've done there is over the course of about 600 and something games, sorry, I don't have the exact numbers on, about 600 and something total games going back 10 years or so, I'm finding 49.5% winners at plus 120 to plus 180. These are the kinds of things you have to look for. A lot of betting sports is math. If you're not able to do math, I'd say before you dive any deeper into learning about sports betting, I would learn about the basics of math and how that relates to sports betting. You need to really be able to figure out what does minus 130, what does that equate to in terms of what do you have to win as a percentage to be able to actually win. So I brought the number up earlier of the plus 275. So at plus 275, you have to win 26.2 or 3. It's 20. So we'll call it 26%. You have to win 26%. So if you're finding a line that's plus 275 and you think that game's only going to win 20% of the time, it's not a good value proposition. But if you think that game is going to come in around 30% of the time, 32% or higher, that's where the value is. Anything on that over 27, 28%, that's where you're starting to find the value. That's where you can make the money, guys. So it's really important. I'll just leave you with this. Really, really important to distinguish in the end. You're not out there looking for teams that are going to win, okay? It's easy to find teams that are going to win most of the time. What you're looking for is long-term value, okay? So it's important to distinguish the difference between teams that you think will win and teams that have value, guys. If you have any questions about this, feel free, comment below. As always, guys, if you could subscribe, drop a like, it really does help us grow. As you can tell, we're a new growing channel here. So thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.